Hello everybody, welcome to my Learn Salesforce Flows training sessions. In this fourth video, you are going to find a deep dive into record triggered flows. In this video, I built a before save and an after save record triggered flow and demonstrated the prior value and is changed and is new functionality. Before Spring 21, we were able to use the prior values in a before save record triggered flow scenario, but we had to get the values. Now we have access to prior values right off the bat. We can use prior values or the new values in our enhanced entry criteria into record triggered flows, or we can use those in our decision elements. Please enjoy the recording and write in the comments any questions you might have. I'm going to answer all of them. Also comment on what you would like to see in the next session. Have a great day. Enjoy. Hello everybody. Happy Trailhead Tuesdays. Can you hear me? Is the picture okay? Welcome, welcome. Now, what does OOD mean, Rick? Oh, good. Okay. Merhaba. Now, let's go over what we have done briefly in the previous sessions. First, in our first session, we did the popular flow types. The G key is messed up on my expensive laptop, says Rick. Is that a brand new one or is it pretty old? Keyboard trouble is difficult. So in our first session, we looked at a couple of popular flow types. We did the the triggered flows before save and after save. We did the screen flows, and we also built an auto launch flow. In the second session, we have done a pretty comprehensive dive into the screen flows. We've done updates, gets, and we've looked up prior values, and we set default values for pick lists. And in the third session, we've done loops, and they were actually quite comprehensive and difficult sessions. Now, at times it got pretty confusing for some people. You know, we have people from different backgrounds participating. So I would like to slow down a little bit today. We are going to be doing the record triggered flows, and Spring 21 is coming. And there are some enhancements that affect the record triggered flows in Spring 21. So while doing that, please go ahead and ask me your questions. And if you would like to ask your question participating with video on, or, you know, like just without picture, with your voice, please do so. Just let me know. I'll make sure that I include you on the broadcast, and then we can just interact. Now, another thing that I wanted to ask you is, I talked to a couple of people who said the sessions are a little bit too late. It would be better if it was earlier in the day. If you could let me know if the timing is okay, or you'd like a different time, or whether the pace and complexity is okay for you, and please go ahead and give me some feedback. And the other thing is, I had said we're going to do 6 sessions. So this is the 4th one. We have 2 more. So what would you like to see in those sessions? I'm thinking, again, in Spring 21, we have enhancements related to scheduled flows, scheduled paths, and I haven't played with that enough. I'm thinking about preparing something related to that. And there is also an enhancement related to emails. We haven't done any actions inside flows. So we could possibly do some emailing off of flows, things like that. I mean, if you can think of things, just let me know. Just continue typing. I'll see that in my chat. Yeah, timing works. Yeah, that's what I was thinking, because for a lot of people who work and who need to do dinner and then possibly put the kids to bed, this could be a good time. And the other thing is, if we have people from other time zones within the US, that could also help. Now let me show you my screen. Let me share my screen. Just a second. Let me move the chat to the second screen over here. Share my screen. Yeah, you can just keep on typing in the chat window. I'm gonna try and look at it more frequently. And like I said, I'm gonna try and slow down the pace a little bit today. Now, one important thing is, because we are not live on Spring 21 yet, I always get confused. What's the date for Spring 21? Can somebody let me know? Is it coming in a week? Is it this weekend, the Spring 21 launch? So anyway, so as most of you know, if you want to test things out on your on a dev org, on a preview instance, and if you want to test things out in a separate organization, separate from your production organization, production instance, then there's actually a web page, there's a link where you can sign up for a preview instance. They announced that along with the release announcement, and you can go there, open yourself kind of like a dev org in a specific data center, and that org immediately gets the new release software running on it. Now, the thing that I didn't know when I set this thing up for the first time, you don't really have to go to that same web page and ask for a new instance every time. The dev org that you have is on an instance, on a data center instance, where it's going to get the latest software as early as possible, the latest release software as early as possible. So this one that I had, I opened, I don't remember, like, was it summer 20? And every time I check when the new release announcement is up, it gets the new release software running on it. Now, I changed the picture over here. I mentioned this one before, some of you might know and remember. I changed the picture over here so that I can remember this one is a certain instance that I have that I'm testing the new releases on. Yeah, well, thanks for sharing the link, Rick. So this one is running Spring 21 right now, and what we're going to do is we're going to build a couple of triggered flows. I have done that already here to test things out. And on my YouTube channel, there is an example where I'm showing how you can achieve is changed, is new functionality using flows. For the people who don't know, is changed, is new is a functionality that's available for Process Builder. And the Process Builder fans have seen that as a big hurdle, and they didn't want to convert their processes to Flow before this thing was available. Now, this became available like 1 or 2 releases before, but we still had to get the record to be able to reach the prior values in a before save record triggered flow, which was a little bit weird, and also from a performance standpoint, not very ideal. So with this release, Spring 21 release, we got the functionality to, oh, thank you very much. Yes, I got the Pardot Specialist certification. So that's my 8th certification. Zeynep is congratulating me. Thank you very much, Zeynep. Now, with this new release, we have the prior value available to us within the flow. We didn't have that before. Now, prior value is available in Spring 21. You can see my screen okay, right? The Salesforce screen. Should I make it a little bit bigger? Let's make this a little bit bigger. 125. All right, now let's create a flow on Spring 21 to show this functionality. Now we are going to start with record triggered flows. And let me start with freeform this time. Now with the record triggered flows, we've seen this one before. We get this particular start element. And this start element is where we define what the flow is going to be triggered by. So when a record is created or updated, I want to run this flow, and it's going to be a before save flow, right? Now I need to choose the object that this is going to run on, and this is going to be opportunity. I can define conditions. I don't have to run every time an opportunity is created or updated. I can say, you know, I want to run this one every time an opportunity is created and updated, and this field has this value and so on. And I can also, this is also a very interesting one, which makes these type of flows very, very efficient. I can say every time a record is updated and meets the condition requirements, I want to run this flow, or only when a record is updated to meet the condition requirements, I want to run this flow. Now you might want to, you might need a little bit more explanation on that one, because it's quite confusing actually to try and understand that, what that means. Now, what you can do is, let's say I want to run this flow whenever a record is updated, right? And I say, whenever an opportunity record is updated, to the stage name equals closed one, I want to run this flow, right? So if I leave these options like this, what's going to end up happening is whenever and let me just do this right here for the sake of this example, I'm going to remove the created part. I'm going to say whenever a record is updated, I want to run this record triggered before save flow, and I want to only run it when the stage name equals closed one. If I do it like this, then what's going to end up happening is whenever an existing opportunity record is updated and the stage name equals closed one, this flow is going to run. But this does not exclude the scenario where the stage name equals already closed one, and then I just updated this description field and then saved it. So that makes this type of condition inefficient if your original intention was to capture a stage being changed from another stage to closed one. So what you can do there is you can say, I want to select this one over here, this radio button, this option. It says only when a record is updated to meet the condition requirements, I want to run this, which means, so the first condition is opportunity record has to be existing and it has to be updated, right? That was the previous choice that I have shown you. And the second condition is going to be stage name was something different and I changed it to closed one. That's what this means, right? So for the sake of this example, I'm going to leave all this broad. You know, I want to run this every time an opportunity is updated or created. I want to run it every time. And I want to run it before save. What does before save mean? Before save is very important. Now, in the order of execution, there is a commit stage that happens at the very end, right? When you're saving things to the Salesforce database and committing. Save and commit. Now, before that, there's a bunch of things that happen in the background. You know, things get assigned, values change, and, you know, like processes run and this and that. A bunch of things happen. And then as the very last step, the commit happens. Now, this before save flow is going to run before the changes are committed to the database. In fact, the interesting thing is now in the order of execution after this before save record triggered flow was made available, there is no automation that runs before save record trigger flow runs. In fact, this one runs before save Apex trigger runs. So that's why this is super fast and efficient. You know, I highly recommend that you use this whenever you can use it. There are cases you cannot use this one. You have to use an after save flow. We've discussed this one and we'll go over it again. So like I said, if I confuse you, if you have any questions, please keep shooting, okay? I'm going to answer all of your questions. Now, what have we done here? We said whenever an opportunity record is created or updated, no conditions, I want to run this before save flow. Now, the first thing I want to do here is to understand whether this is a new opportunity or an existing opportunity. So I'm going to call this one opportunity ID available. Let me call this one yes ID avail. That's how I usually do my naming conventions. No ID. So why is this important? Now, I kept the entry condition quite broad. I'm capturing all kinds of situations whenever a record is created or updated. Now, because of the way before save flow works, I'm running all this before the opportunity record is committed to the database. If the opportunity record has not been committed to the database yet, that means it has not received a unique ID yet. So there is no ID. So if I check over here, that record, as you remember, all the values for the flow record that we're running the flow on are kept on the record. If I say I want to look up the record ID, the ID of the opportunity that I'm running this on, and I'm checking, is this null? And I say false. If the ID is not null, that means the ID is available. So, which also means this is an update. Let me just add it here. Yes, ID available, update, no ID. This is a repetition, let's call it no ID and new op, right? So I'm going to save this one. So now I have created myself. That's what a lot of the process builder fans want to do. They want to create one single, if at all possible, one single flow, and they want to capture all the different types of updates within that flow and create branches for them. So now I can differentiate between a new opportunity and an existing opportunity. So let me just say assign new op description. Now, because this is a before save flow, if you remember, if you've been if you watch the first session, then if you remember, we don't really have to do an update to the record because the record has not been committed to the database yet. All we need to do is we need to assign values to the fields, and then the update is going to happen anyway. So what we want to do here is we want to use the .record description and update the description saying this opportunity is a brand new opportunity. So I'm going to update this to the description. When am I going to do this? I'm going to do this whenever there's no ID assigned and it's null, the .record ID, $record ID. So now I'm talking about an update. I'm going to go down here on this path. And now I can put another decision here to account for all kinds of different cases. So I'm going to call this one state check. Now we're going to also do examples here, an example here, where we are going to have a better understanding of the decision elements. Now the decision elements are interesting. You can actually have possibly, like, let's say 10 different outcomes listed over here. And as long as you're working with the same field, for example, there's no reason for you to create a bunch of different decision elements. That's one thing that some people coming from process do, because that's how things look on process. You have decision 1, decision 2, decision 3, whatever. You don't really need that on flow. So what you want to do is, if you're working with the same field and different values, let's say, in your conditions, you want to sort them all in sequence over here at different outcomes. And you need to remember that flow is going to evaluate these outcomes one by one in sequence from top to bottom. So what we want to do here is, for example, let's say we want to capture whenever the stage is in negotiation. So we want to say record ID, record stage, record stage equals negotiation. We want to capture first whether the stage has been moved to a negotiation. Now, the way we came here, we are coming down the update branch. We know this is an update. This is not brand new. So there's an existing opportunity, right? Existing opportunity has just been updated to negotiation review. This is the case we are capturing here. We want to add another outcome here, and we want to call this one closed. And this one is going to be record stage equals closed. As you know, there are two closed stages. There's closed one. Let's capture the other one as well. Add condition, record stage equals closed lost. Now, the default is end here. We don't want end. We want or. So we want to capture both closed scenarios, whether it's close one or close last. We want to end up in this branch. And there's another option here, custom logic. This is when you can add 3, 4 different conditions, and then you can start doing and or within parentheses, and then you can do complicated stuff. But we don't really need that here, or. And then default outcome is all the different stages. So it's going to evaluate, the flow is going to evaluate first negotiation. If the stage is not negotiation, it's going to go to closed, right? So update branch goes into another decision. Yes, ID available, so it's an update. So it's going down this path. I'm going to do another assignment here and say like update description negotiation. And .record description here equals include your manager in negotiation stage for large deals. Now, in a normal scenario, you wouldn't do all this stuff in the description field. It just makes building examples and demonstrating functionality easy. That's why I'm using this. So you would have you could have a dedicated field, you could have different kind of outcomes here. So what I'm going to do is in the closed scenario, I'm going to update again the description, but this time I want to make a formula of the description text formula. Now I know I'm only going to end up in this branch if I'm closed one or closed last. So I can say if the record stage and because this is a pick list, I need to convert it to text and evaluate it with text. Closed one. If the record stage name pick list value converted to text equals text close one, then this text becomes congrats. So the description field I want to update with congrats. If not, because I know if it's not close one, it's going to be close lost, I'm going to say call the client for feedback. Well, it's not a client, so let's call this one prospect client, right? Prospect client for feedback. It should work. Now I'm going to do an assignment here again. Let me just copy this over. So update description closed. So this time the description is going to be updated with the formula value. So draw this one over here, and then this is going to be closed branch. There is one other branch, which is the default, but I don't want to do any updates when the stage is being updated to any other stage. So let's save this one and then call this one here record triggered and save. Any errors? No, we didn't receive any errors. We can't really debug, I mean, record triggered flow. It doesn't really yield any results that we can work with. So let's activate. Let's also make sure I don't have any other flows activated that I've been playing with. Here, process new opportunity screen flow. Well, that's actually a screen flow. It doesn't matter whether it's active or not. So we just want to make sure that none of our record triggered flows are updated, active. Okay, it looks like we're fine. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go to my opportunities. How's it going so far? Rica ederim, inanç, görüşmek üzere. So opportunities let me just create a new opportunity and call this one opportunity 2nd of February version 1. And I have to give it a close date of today. Stage is, let's say, qualification. Okay, it's a brand new opportunity. Save this one. So it's saved. I didn't experience any errors because usually with record triggered flows, this is where you receive your error. You'll see on screen that it tried to update the record, it didn't work and whatnot. So let me go to my details. And in my details, I see this opportunity is a brand new opportunity. Because I just created a brand new opportunity, it actually captured that in my decision path, in my conditions, and it updated the description field, the description value as I designed with this opportunity is a brand new opportunity. Now, let's update it to this, let's update the stage to perception analysis. So that was the default path. I said run, but don't do any updates, right? Let me just refresh the screen just in case. The record is supposed to stay the same with no updates to description. I don't see any updates in the description field. It seems like the record stayed the same. And the modified by time is like a minute earlier. So let's mark the stage as negotiation. And when I do that, I'm going to see the description is going to update, include your manager in negotiation stage for large deals, right? This is what I designed, and this is verified by the outcome here. The test is successful. Let's do the closed. When I want to close the opportunity, it's going to ask me, is it going to be close lost? Let's say it's close lost. And it's going to, the description is going to say, call the prospect client for feedback. And I changed my mind. I made a mistake, in fact, or I called them and they said, you won the deal. Some changed, save it. And then it's going to say, congrats. Now, this flow is obviously running every time a record is updated or a record is created. So if I want to be more efficient, what I can do is I can actually use, as I told you, use some of the enhanced entry criteria, and then I can try to narrow down the times that this flow is going to run. And that will bring some performance improvements, like especially if you're working with a bunch of users, like a large call center, 1,000 users and millions of records, that's going to be important. And as long as your conditions are, entry conditions are mutually exclusive, you can create 3-4 different flows. That's fine. You can create a flow that only runs when, in this example, when the stage is updated to closed one only. You can run a flow that only runs when the stage is updated to closed lost. You can run another flow whenever the opportunity is updated to negotiation. I mean, it'll be hard to manage, it'll be confusing, but it's something that you can do, in which case it means the flow is not going to run at all and use any of your CPU time or governor limits in other scenarios. So this is the before save record triggered example, folks. Next I'm going to do after save. Any questions so far? Is this clear? You know what I realized? We did not use here prior value, right? Prior value. So let's use that. We are here, peer record triggered, right? Let's open this one. So let's go to our decision over here in our state check. What can we do? We can, I think in our opportunities, in our stages, we are supposed to move from negotiation to close, right? That's how it works ideally. So what we can do here, we can capture, we captured already the negotiation stage. We can say, we can add another outcome here, and then we can move this one up. This is how we move up the outcome. So we can say for this outcome, wait, we gotta move this one over here, right before closed. Because what I want to do here is I want to say closed from closed not from negotiation. So what is this going to check for? The record stage opportunity on the opportunity is closed, close one, or record stage opportunity is close lost, and the prior stage is actually not negotiation. So I'm expecting this to come from negotiation, right? And it's not coming from negotiation. So now this is going to be a complex, a custom logic. So what I want to do is 1 or 2 so in this scenario, my new stage is going to be either close 1 or close lost, right? 1 or 2. And the prior stage is negotiation, is not negotiation. Yes, that's wrong. So I need to say is not negotiation. So I expect the opportunities advanced from negotiation to close 1 or close lost, and that's not happening. So that's a problem for me. I want to capture that. Say, in that scenario, I want to update close not from negotiation, the description field. Let's see if this works. Closed opportunity needs to come from negotiation. Review your process. Okay, save this one and activate. Let's see how that does for us. This was the update branch, so I don't really need to create a brand new opportunity. I can work with this one. So let's say I'm going to mark the stage ID decision makers. Well, it's still the description still stays congrats, because I had marked this one before as close 1, right? So I'm going to change this one directly to negotiation, no, directly to close 1, skipping negotiation. Close 1. So if I came from negotiation, it was going to update the description as congrats again. But this time it's going to tell me close opportunity needs to come from negotiation, review your process. You're not following the due process that we defined for the sales cycle. So any questions here? Can anybody remember when we needed to use after save flow versus before save flow? So when would we want to use an after save flow? Let me just go to my flows here. What I want to do is I want to take this flow and save as a new flow. Let me just call this one after save. Related to other objects we use after save. Exactly right. Parvati. Is that how you say your name? Parvati? I hope I said it correctly. Yeah. So in this scenario, what would make also sense is to create a task, for example. A task related to the opportunity. The only way we're going to be able to create a task related to the opportunity is when we operate in an after save mode. In before save mode, we cannot really create related records. So I'm going to work with this new flow, and in this new flow, I'm going to say, I want to work after save whenever a record is created or updated, right? So in this example, there are a couple of differences. First of all, you'll also remember possibly in before save, we operate with assign statements. In after save, we have to also use update. So if we assign, if we leave it with assigned, we don't update, it's not going to update the record. Here, we need to make sure that we update, because what happens here is we are working after save, so the values have already been saved, and now we are going to do another update on those saved values and update the new values to the database. We are operating later in the order of execution. So here, another thing that changed is here, it doesn't really make sense for us to check whether that record, the dollar record opportunity ID is null or not, because dollar record opportunity ID is never null. So because we are operating in after save mode, we know that dollar record opportunity is available, whether it's a new record or an existing record. So what we want to check here is, if we want to get the same effect, we want to check dollar record prior ID before our after save ran. Did we have an ID value? And then if we check that, we should be okay. Now here we are updating dollar record description. We are assigning, actually, we're not updating. So we need to add an update step, update opportunity 1. And what do we need to update? We need to update the record that this flow is running on. And we need to do this after every step, actually. Well, I can actually run all my, I call this opportunity 1. I can either create another one of this and then copy paste and add it right here, or I can probably run all my branches to the same update, because in the end I'm doing a general record update here after my assignment. So the one thing I want to do here is, you remember the case of close 1, closed 1 or closed last. I want to also, in this branch, I want to also create a task. So because I'm operating now in after save mode, I have also create records available to me. So I'm going to say create a task. And this task is going to be one task. Use separate resources and literal values for the task fields. It's going to be, the record is going to be object type task. Field is going to be due date, let's say, is today. So current date. Priority is going to be normal. Owner is going to be owner of the owner of the opportunity. Name is going to be, it's not called name. Is it title or subject? Subject is going to be, again, the formula that I have set up that says congrats or call the prospect client for feedback. I can associate this one with my opportunity record using the what ID. Record ID. And I can also associate it, I mean, the owner is already here listed as the opportunity owner, or I can also add that here in the who ID to associate it with the person as well. But I don't really need to do that. I think I probably covered all the required fields, I'm hoping. If I didn't, I'll get errors. And then I can save this one and activate. Now I need to make sure that my other flow is deactivated as well. I don't want to be running one before save, one after save for the same functionality, almost the same functionality. So this one is active. Wait a minute. I thought I saved another version of the flow and I was updating that one, but I might have gotten confused. Last modified. I think I ended up updating the same flow. That's fine. So let me just see what else is active. This is a screen flow, so that's not important. So this is active. That's fine. Let's see whether this works. Let's create a brand new opportunity. Any questions, please put them into the chat window. Opportunities, new opportunity, up to version 2. Close date today. Stage is prospecting and save. Well, no errors, luckily. So let's check the details. So this opportunity is a brand new opportunity. We got the same description update, but this time it happened after save, right? When you're operating with after save, in some situations, I don't know when that happens, but sometimes you might have to refresh your screen, your browser, to see the update. With before save, that doesn't really happen. I don't think so. So now let's go ahead and update it to negotiation. Let's go ahead and update it closed, bypassing the process. I think our error message is still active there, saying warning message saying closed opportunity needs to come from negotiation, review your process. So it works. So let's go back to proposal. It's not going to change, but let me delete it. So this is the thing now, because now let me just here update it to negotiation. That was the scenario that I had created. Include your manager in negotiation stage for large deals, right? And now I'm going to test the scenario where I've added the task creation. Now, when I was coming from another stage to closed, that was another branch. So it was kind of like an error message that I updated into the description that didn't have the task creation, right? So now when I come from negotiation and then do a close one or close lost, it should create a task for me. I'm going to do a close lost. So state changed. Didn't seem to work. Let's see. It didn't seem to work. You know why it didn't work? Because we need to review our logic over here. Okay, that records, dollar records stage is coming from close one. Dollar record stage, dollar record prior stage is negotiation. Why is this not working? In this scenario, the way the prior works is a little bit different, I think. Let me just save another version of this because I don't want to spend a lot of time with this right now. A new version, save. And in this new version, let me just eliminate this branch because this is something that I wanted to test with before save, which we have already demonstrated. Let me just delete this branch and then see whether the task creation works. Where is my task creation? I think I got my flows confused here. Now on this view it shows up. Okay, that's why it's not working. Let me just see, deactivate this one. I guess I was looking at a flow list that I did not refresh and I got myself confused. Now let's check this one that's active. Yes, this is the one with the task creation. And we had, I think we just had both before save and after save active, possibly. I'm not exactly sure. So we're going to have to test again. That's why it didn't work. So now we have the after save active only and a screen flow active. Okay, let's test this one again. Let's go to perception stage. Let's delete this one, this comment. Let's go to close stage directly from perception. And it's going to say closed opportunity needs to come from negotiation, review your process. Good. Now let's go to negotiation. Include your manager in negotiation stage for large deals. And let's go to closed lost. So closed opportunity is to come from negotiation, review your process. It actually didn't work again. Let's refresh this one. Details. Let me, like I said, let me just go ahead and here delete that branch, because the way the previous value, prior value works here is a little bit different in the after save. Anybody has any comments, you can add them here. If you have a proposed solution, closed not from negotiation. Let me just delete this branch over here, because this is something that we have saved in before save. I like to handle those in before save actually anyway. Let's activate it this way, see if that works. So if we're coming down this branch, because this decision was probably preventing us from evaluating the closed. Save, activate, and let's go to again negotiation. Include your manager in negotiation stage for large deals as expected. So it's going to update that description field automatically regardless whenever I update any of the fields. Closed, set closed stage and mark it as closed lost. And yes, now we got to call the prospect client for feedback outcome. Now, when we got to call the client for feedback outcome, we were supposed to also get a task and see under activities, we see call the prospect client for feedback with the due date of today, and it's related to the opportunity. And the status is not started prior to normal. We haven't set the status, so it just defaulted to not started. So any questions? So the other thing that you can do here is if there are related records, you can actually query those records and you can also update them. That's another activity that you can do using an after save record. So in the after save scenario, we've also evaluated, we evaluated as well whether the opportunity is a new one, and we have also evaluated what the different values, new values are, and then based our actions related to the outcomes that we have defined here. I guess we don't have any questions. I don't see any questions. Are you still there? You got quiet. So if you don't have any questions, another thing I want to show, another new functionality I want to show here briefly. I'm not going to build that one. I build a very simple example so that I can show you is the new layout functionality that gives us multiple columns inside the flow. That's also an exciting and interesting one. I'm going to copy an existing opportunity record here. I built a screen flow, very simple screen flow here that says process new opportunity screen flow. And then here, if I open this one and show it to you, you're going to see that it's a very simple one. I get an opportunity record. I have an input screen, an assignment, and an update. And when I'm doing that, I'm going to use multiple columns, and this functionality was not available before Spring 21. So let me just go into debug. I set up the screen flow to accept an opportunity record ID as a parameter, which I have shown you before. So it pulled up this opportunity record, and this opportunity record, it says, is in closed loss stage. And the opportunity name is opportunity on 2nd of February, version 2. Opportunity amount is not assigned. Let me just assign this one, 120,000. And I can change the stage. I haven't really set up the default pick list value trick here, workaround here. So that's why it's not pulling the existing value, but I'm showing you the existing value here. It's a closed loss stage, so I can change it. So let me just push this back to ID decision makers. Now on this screen, I have set up these fields in 3 different columns, as you can see. This functionality was not available before. This is brand new. So until now, when you had a flow, your fields were always showing up one below another. And when you had a white screen where the flow was running on, it actually looked quite silly. You couldn't use the whole screen for this. Now it updated that opportunity for me. Let me show you how this is done. If you see the opportunity input screen over here, what we used to do is we used to add the fields right here like this. Now, as you see, if I do that and run this one, I'm going to see the default functionality that exists today. And I'm going to have a super large field. Why didn't this work? Comment. Yeah, and let's say it's none. Did I not save it? Save as a new version. It's active. Maybe I needed to save it to debug it. Yeah, as you can see, in the original functionality, when I have a white screen display like this, it looks super silly. Like if you have a narrow display, it actually is the same type of functionality where even the 3-column view shows up one field below another. But if I have a white screen, then I get this like comment text field that's like super wide. It doesn't actually make a lot of sense. Now I can create multiple columns and put them over here side by side. And the way I do that is right here. I can say this is brand new over here. It's in beta. I can add a section, and this section can be defined either full width or multiple columns. I can say add column, and this makes it 2 columns, and I can add another column. It makes it 3 columns. I can do 4, and I think that's maximum. Yes, I can make maximum 4 columns. I can delete them, and I can also determine the width here. Let's see if I can do a trick and then try to put the field to the left side without including actually another field on the right side. Would that work? I don't know. I'm trying here for the first time. I guess since it says beta, I guess it's also in beta in Spring 21. So before you use it in production, just consider that. Save, debug. Opportunity ID. Yeah, that trick worked too. So if you set up 2, 3, 4 columns, whatever, and only use one of the columns, it positions the field based on where it's supposed to go on that table view that's actually transparent to the user. You don't see that. So if you could actually put another field right here, but since you didn't put any there, it's just gonna display this field on the left side. Any questions?